Good morning, you're watching Hornbill TV's Morning Pulse. Amidst controversy of India-Pakistan match in Asia Cup, IPL chairman Arun Dhumal said on Tuesday that the Indian government has decided that while bilateral matches between India and Pakistan will not be played, Indian teams will participate in multilateral and international tournaments. He further informed that if Pakistan's team needs to travel to India for such tournaments, the Indian government will issue visas. Regarding the recent match where Pakistan filed complaint following the handshake row, Dhumal said the ICC will review any issues raised by Pakistan, and if any official misconduct is found, appropriate action will be taken.
खत्म हो गया बाद जब मैच हो गया, जैसा भारत सरकार ने एक निर्णय लिया है कि जो इंटरनेशनल और ऐसे टूर्नामेंट हैं, मल्टी नेशनल टूर्नामेंट, वहाँ पर टीम खेलेगी। बायलैटरल की जहाँ तक बात है हिंदुस्तान और पाकिस्तान के बीच में, वो मैच नहीं खेला जाएगा। अगर मल्टी नेशनल टूर्नामेंट में पाकिस्तान की टीम को यहाँ आना है तो उसके लिए वीज़ा भारत सरकार ने देना होता है। तो जब एक क्लियर कट बात होगी है कि बायलैटरल नहीं खेला जाएगा तो वो मैच नहीं खेले जाएंगे। जहाँ तक मल्टी नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल गेम्स की बात है तो सरकार ने निर्णय लिया है कि पूरे इकोसिस्टम को देखते हुए कि भारत को खेलना चाहिए, तो उसी दिशा में हमारी टीम खेल रही है। देखिए, मुझे पूरे विषय की जानकारी नहीं है, मैंने मैच देखा नहीं था, लेकिन जो भी विषय अगर पाकिस्तान ने उठाया है तो अगर नियमों के तहत कोई कार्रवाई बनती है तो आईसीसी उस चीज़ को देखेगा। लेकिन मैं मानता हूँ मैच हुआ, ख़त्म हो गया, अब विषय को ज़रूरत से ज़्यादा उठाना नहीं चाहिए। लेकिन अगर लगता है किसी को कि किसी ऑफिशियल की तरफ से कोई गलती हुई है तो आईसीसी निश्चित तौर पर इस पर देखेगा और जो भी कार्रवाई बनती होगी वो करेगा।
On the occasion of the 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties between India and Malta, Ambassador of the Republic of Malta to India, Ruben Gauci, stated that Malta was keen on the EU-India Free Trade Agreement deal, further stating that FTA would only increase trade with India. India is currently accelerating discussions on trade agreements with key partners across multiple regions, including the United States, the European Union, Australia, Sri Lanka, and several others, in a bid to expand trade and secure long-term growth opportunities. He further stated that Malta was interested in the Indian film industry and financial sector, noting that the Indian community in Malta comprised approximately 18,000 people, accounting for more than half of the population. Gauci also hinted that an Indian delegation will be visiting Malta for political consultations in October or November.
In which sectors do you see the relationship going forward?
So, as you rightly pointed out, this is the 60th anniversary of Malta-India relations, diplomatic relations, which were established on the 10th of March 1965. Now, obviously there is a difference in size of the countries. Nonetheless, we view our bilateral relations with India in a very, very, how can I put it, important way, because first of all, India was one of the first countries to start diplomatic relations less than 6 months after we got our independence on the 21st of September 1964. Less than 6 months, as I said, 10th of March 1965, India was already interested in establishing diplomatic relations with us. We are also both proud members of Commonwealth, as you know. Now, we are looking at trade, for instance. At the moment, India exports much more to Malta than Malta exports to India. So there is around 300 million euros a year of Indian goods being exported to Malta. I have to say here that there are also 112 Indian companies in Malta, so they obviously need to import a lot of material from India, which is obviously increasing the amount of Indian goods being exported to Malta. And we are also looking obviously at the other thing, which would be Maltese products coming here to India. Since 2022, we did start to import Maltese products for the first time here in India. Chisk, for instance, which is a Maltese beer, Go and Fun, which is a Maltese energy drink, Twisties, which is called Vichis here in India, which is a snack, and in this month we're going to launch another Maltese product, which is a water biscuit made in Malta. In Malta we call it galletti, and this will be launched in September 2025. We are very, very keen on the EU-India free trade agreement negotiations. Incidentally, I mean, I know that because I participated in the visit of EU Commissioner of Trade Šefčovič and the EU Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Hansen. They were here last week in September 2025 for the 13th round of India-EU negotiations. And that is important because, as your good self may know, when a country is a member of the European Union, like Malta is, we cannot have our own free trade agreement with India or with any other country. It is the EU which has that faculty. The EU which speaks for the 27 countries. So for us, and I said that I'm saying this because trade is part of our bilateral relations, but we cannot sign a free trade agreement with India. It is the EU which has to do that. So we are very, very interested in the negotiations because we believe that the free trade agreement will increase trade with India, will also increase the potential of more EU investment in India. At the moment we do not have Maltese investment here in India, but I wish that in the future, given that there would be the free trade agreement, Maltese investment possibly will also be possible, and I'm hoping that the products which are the Maltese products which are being imported into India at the moment may also be produced here.
A cloudburst situation arose in the areas in and near Maharashtra's Jalgaon, with 10 villages being affected. District Collector Ayush Prasad on Tuesday said that according to the primary information, 452 houses were inundated and almost 2,500 hectares of land were damaged. He added that one death was reported due to the situation. He said that the Maharashtra State Disaster Response Force is distributing food as relief for those who have lost their ration. Meanwhile, Maharashtra Water Resources and Disaster Management Minister Girish Mahajan on Tuesday assessed the damage in areas affected by heavy rains in Jalgaon. Mahajan said that heavy rains continued for 2 days in 4 tehsils of the district, causing heavy damage to the farmers. He also informed that all the officers have been directed to conduct a survey as soon as possible so that the authorities can compensate those who suffered losses.
काफी नुकसान हुआ है बारिश की वजह से, आप किस तरह से देखते हैं? प्रशासन की ओर से क्या-क्या मदद की गई?
जलगांव जिले के 3 तालुका में विशेषतः जो हमारे जो अजिंठा जो पर्वतरांग है, जो जलगांव और छत्रपति संभाजी नगर के बीच में है, उनमें कल क्लाउड बर्स्ट की वातावरण निर्माण हुई थी, जब रात को 12 साढ़े 12 से सुबह 4 बजे तक इस पीरियड में ऑलमोस्ट 134 से 140 मिलीमीटर की बारिश अलग अलग जगहों पे हुई थी। उसके वजह से जो फ्री फ्लोइंग नाला है और नदियां हैं, उसमें कुछ पानी का स्तर सुबह 7 साढ़े 7 8 बजे तक बढ़ा था। इसमें अलग अलग जगहों पे अलग अलग मतलब डेप्थ में पानी बढ़ा था, परंतु विशेषतः जो नाला, जो फ्री फ्लोइंग नालास है, उसके जो दोनों तरफ पानी भर गया था, और वहाँ पर जहाँ पर हैबिटेशंस है, जहाँ पर घर हैं, आबादी क्षेत्र हैं, उस पर जो पानी का स्तर बढ़ने की वजह से वो वहाँ पर जो फ्लडिंग की जो सिचुएशन, जो फ्लैश फ्लड कहते हैं, तो उसकी सिचुएशन आई थी। पूरे जिले में अराउंड 10 गांवों में इसका नुकसान हुआ है, जो पाचोरा के 2 मंडल, जामनेर के 1 महसूल मंडल या रेवेन्यू मंडल, और इसके मुक्ताई नगर के 1 मंडल, इस क्षेत्र में 10 गांवों में नुकसान हुआ है। अभी तक जो प्राथमिक इन्फॉर्मेशन हमारे पास मिली है, 452 घरों में पानी भरा था, एंड उसके साथ साथ ऑलमोस्ट 2500 हेक्टेयर इतनी ज़मीन में अलग अलग टाइप के नुकसान हुए हैं, जिसमें कुछ जगह पे खेत बह गई हैं, कुछ जगह पे डिपोजिशन हुआ है, मतलब नदी का जो सिल्ट होता है या जो मटेरियल होता है वो खेतों पे आ गया है, और कुछ जगहों पे क्रॉप डैमेजेस हुए हैं। तो ये 3 प्रकार के नुकसान हुए हैं। एक व्यक्ति की मृत्यु की जानकारी है मुक्ताई नगर से, और कुछ बड़े जानवरों में अबाउट 250 बड़े जानवर, जिसमें ये जो भैंस हैं और गाय हैं, उनकी मृत्यु अबाउट 250 वो हैं। 400 के आसपास जो बकरियां हैं उनकी मृत्यु हुई है, और 1200 एक पोल्ट्री फार्म था जहां पे 1200 पक्षियां थी, उनकी मृत्यु हुई है पानी भरने की वजह से। तो ऐसे मतलब ऑलमोस्ट 1800 जानवरों की मृत्यु की इन्फॉर्मेशन है और एक व्यक्ति की मृत्यु की इन्फॉर्मेशन है। पावर कनेक्शन अभी हमने रिस्टोर कर दिया है, बिल्कुल कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। एक ब्रिज का जो भराव मटेरियल जो साइड में रहता है वो बह गया है, वहाँ पर अभी टीम लगी है, उसको हम रिस्टोर कर रहे हैं। कुछ घरों में पानी और जो उनके पास जो राशन था वो गीला होने की वजह से कुछ नुकसान हुआ है। तो फूड पैकेट्स महाराष्ट्र स्टेट डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट अथॉरिटी की तरफ से फूड पैकेट्स दिया जा रहा है, और सेकेंड राउंड ऑफ राशन कुछ गांव में देने की जरूरत है, वो दी जाएगी। तो इस प्रकार के पूरा नियोजन हमने पूरी तरह से कर रखी है।
Student groups NSUI and ABVP clashed at Delhi University's Kirori Mal College on Tuesday, the last day of campaigning for the Delhi University Students' Union elections. The incident occurred shortly before Uttar Pradesh Congress President Ajay Rai, who was visiting the campus to campaign for NSUI candidates, was scheduled to arrive. In a statement, NSUI alleged that the members of the ABVP, the student wing of the RSS, attacked its Purvanchal student supporters in a bid to disrupt the program. Ajay Rai has condemned the incident.
देखिए, मैं इतना ही कहना चाहूँगा कि आज दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय का जो चुनाव हो रहा है उसमें मुझे करोड़ीमल कॉलेज जाना था, और जब मेरे जाने की सूचना उनको मिली विद्यार्थी परिषद और संघ के लोगों को, तो वो लोग बौखला गए और ऐसा बौखला के इस तरह की हरकत किए कि वहाँ पर मारपीट शुरू कर दिया। और वहाँ पर हमारी एक बच्ची है भाग्य भारती, जो वाइस प्रेसिडेंट है बिहार स्टेट की हमारी NSUI को, उसको काफ़ी मारा है। अब आप देखिए, ये पूरा ये बेचारी है, इसको काफ़ी मारपीट किया है, आप देख सकते हैं। मैं अभी गया था, राम मनोहर लोहिया हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट है बच्ची, अभी मैं मिल के जस्ट वहीं से आया हूँ। इतना बुरी तरीके से मारा है, उसका पूरा सर फोड़ दिया है, उसके पूरे बाल नोच लिए हैं और गालियाँ दी हैं उसको, भद्दी भद्दी रो रही थी बेचारी। इस तरीके का अपमान, और बच्ची के साथ बिटिया को मार रहे हो आप कहते हो बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, मोदी जी कहते हैं ना बेटी बचाओ, यही बेटी बचा रहे हैं, बेटी को मरवा रहे हैं आप चुनाव में। ये क्या है? यही आपके संस्कार है, यही आपकी मानसिकता है, इसकी मैं निंदा।
Giving insights into the one-day talks held between the U.S. trade negotiator Brendan Lynch and India's chief negotiator and special secretary in the Department of Commerce Rajesh Agrawal, former senior diplomat Mahesh Sachdev stated that the discussions were described as positive and forward-looking. India and the U.S. initiated talks for a just, balanced and mutually beneficial bilateral trade agreement in March this year, aiming to complete the first stage of the agreement by October-November 2025. Sachdev stated that though specific details of the talks were not disclosed by both sides, the differences in dairy, agriculture, fisheries and India's demand for equal treatment of IT were outlined. Although the sixth round of talks last month was cancelled, the team had been sent to India indicating a softening stance, Sachdev stated. He further stated that US President Donald Trump has emphasized India as an important trade and strategic partner.
Trade issue.
One-day talks concluded today in New Delhi between the Assistant Trade Representative of the United States and Special Secretary of Indian Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Both sides have given out their versions, and the readouts speak of the talks being held in a positive atmosphere. Indian side also said that these were forward-looking, meaning intending to have an agreement eventually. I think one should also add that according to Indian side, we are supposed to meet again fairly quickly, and the two sides are going to intensify their contacts and expedite the negotiations so as to reach a trade deal at the soonest possible. Here one should mention that our exports to United States in August, for which data was given yesterday, have already begun to suffer. instead of $8.01 billion in July 2024, this figure in July 2025 was 6.86 billion, which is significantly shorter. So India is already beginning to suffer the impact of 50% tariffs, and this is going to intensify as the time progresses, unless the United States side agrees to withdraw or lower those tariffs.
Sir, as this after 50% US punitive tariff on India, so how do you look at this development after this 50% tariff?
I think one has to read between the lines, because both sides have not mentioned precisely what was discussed and what was sorted out. These were precursor to 6th round of formal talks. So I imagine they would have gone through the broad outlines of the differences remaining between the two sides. These pertain to, from United States side, dairying and agriculture and fisheries, and some other areas where India has red lines. From Indian side also there are demands on the United States, treating us more in an equal manner, with our IT and other related services also being facilitated at par with other countries. So I imagine these would have been discussed very briefly, but the fact remains that it was United States which last month cancelled 6th round of talks unilaterally after imposing 50% tariffs, and now they have themselves sent the team to India. So it does indicate certain softening of the position. Concomitantly, rhetorical, high-sounding, accusatory language being used against India has also been tempered down, and President Trump himself has mentioned that India is an important trade and strategic partner with whom he would like to have better relations, and he has said that this relationship is quite important.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has signaled that strikes on Hamas leaders could continue, declaring they have no immunity wherever they are, following last week's controversial attack in Qatar. At a press conference in Jerusalem alongside U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Netanyahu said Israel reserves the right to defend itself beyond the borders. It also insisted the strike was carried out independently. The attack in Doha, a rare Israeli operation on the soil of a close U.S. ally, drew sharp international criticism and a rebuke from U.S. President Trump, who assured Qatar that such a thing will not happen again. Hamas said 6 people were killed, but its senior leaders survived. Despite tensions, Netanyahu and Rubio projected unity, praising U.S.-Israel ties as unbreakable. Rubio stressed Washington's strong relationships with Gulf allies, while Netanyahu called the U.S. Israel's best ally. Meanwhile, Arab leaders convened a summit back in Qatar, with its prime minister urging the world to end double standards and hold Israel accountable. Rubio is expected to travel to Doha after his Israel visit.
Again, with a question you asked me, and that is, we have strong relationships with our Gulf allies. We work very closely with them on a number of things. We've been engaged with them. We've been engaged with them consistently before what happened and after what happened. And ultimately, the point we will make to everybody is that some fundamentals still remain that have to be addressed, irrespective of what has occurred. The reality of it is we still have 48 hostages. We still have a Hamas that is not only holding 48 hostages, they're holding Gaza hostage, and they're using civilians as human shields. There's still a dangerous element, and as long as they exist, as long as they're around, there will be no peace in this region, because they are not agents of peace, they are agents of barbarism. And it's still a fundamental fact that the people of Gaza deserve a better future, a future which is not possible until the hostages are all released, and Hamas no longer exists. All these fundamentals still exist. They all still have to be addressed. And that's what we're going to remain focused on as we engage with our allies in the Gulf, is how can we continue to work together to address those three things, which we think are pillars. Solving those are pillars of the broader construct I think all of us hope for the region.
There's immense cynicism and hypocrisy in the condemnation of Israel. After 9/11, the Security Council of the United Nations passed Resolution 1373, and that resolution said that states must not harbor, give safe haven, finance, plan, or allow such actions for terrorists. It didn't say some actions in this part of the world, or some nations cannot do it in this part of the world, but they can do it in another part of the world. And of course the United States acted very boldly against the terrorist havens that were given to Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, the terrorist haven that was given to the chief terrorist, bin Laden, in Pakistan. Those countries that are condemning Israel today did not come and say, well, what a terrible thing was done. The sovereignty of Pakistan was violated. The sovereignty of Afghanistan was violated. You don't have such sovereignty when you are effectively giving a base to terrorists and a place where they can ply their gruesome trade. So it's the right of every country under international law to defend itself beyond its borders against those who would kill their citizens, murder them en masse. That is what guided Israel.
Addressing the second National Conference of Heads of Anti-Narcotics Task Force of States and Union Territories, Union Home Minister Amit Shah had stated that deportation and extradition of fugitives had been very important. He said that the time had come to bring people engaged in drug business from abroad within the nets of Indian law. He had praised the Central Bureau of Investigation for its efforts and had requested all anti-narcotics task force chiefs to contact the CBI director to set up a system for extradition. He emphasized that such a mechanism would not only have been useful in tackling drugs but also terrorism, gangs and other crimes. He noted that deportation, like extradition, had been equally important and had required a practical approach. Amit Shah remarked that many individuals kept in jail had still been promoting illegal activities from within. He explained that some guidance had already been given by the Home Ministry and that a liberal approach should have been taken to ensure an arrangement for deporting such offenders. He had further stated that the Home Department had been preparing to issue a standard operating procedure for the process.
फॉलो अप करें। दूसरा, भगोड़ों का निर्वासन और प्रत्यार्पण, ये दोनों चीजें बहुत जरूरी हैं। अब समय आ गया है देश भर के लोगों ने विदेश में बैठकर यहां ड्रग का व्यापार का काम करने वाले लोगों को हमारी कानून की नेट में लाने का। सीबीआई ने इसके लिए बहुत अच्छा काम किया है। मेरा सभी एएनटीएफ के अध्यक्षों को आग्रह है कि आप सीबीआई डायरेक्टर का संपर्क कर प्रत्यार्पण के लिए एक सुनिश्चित व्यवस्था आपके यहां खड़ी करिए, जो न केवल ड्रग, टेररिज्म से लेकर गैंगों से लेकर सभी चीजों के लिए काम में आएगी, परंतु ये बेहद जरूरी है। और जिस तरह से प्रत्यार्पण जरूरी है, इसी प्रकार से प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच से निर्वासन भी जरूरी है। यहां पर जिनको आपने जेल में बंद कर रखा है, वो कुछ न कुछ तरीके से यहीं से व्यापार को बढ़ावा दे रहे हैं। कुछ गाइडेंस गृह मंत्रालय ने दिए हैं। एक लिबरल अप्रोच लेकर, लिबरल अप्रोच उनके प्रति नहीं लेना है, लिबरल अप्रोच प्रक्रिया के प्रति लेकर उनको डिपोर्ट करने की व्यवस्था के लिए रास्ता सुनिश्चित करना चाहिए। इसकी भी एसओपी गृह विभाग जारी करने जा रहा है। आपने ग्राफिक्स देखे होंगे, सिंथेटिक ड्रग्स और लैब्स ये आने वाले दिनों में बढ़ेंगे। जैसे ही थोड़ी नकेल कसेंगे, इसका चलन बढ़ने वाला है। हर राज्य के एएनटीएफ के प्रमुख ने पैनी नजर से अपने राज्य में जो इस प्रकार की लैब है या सिंथेटिक ड्रग्स राज्य से बनकर राज्य में अथवा राज्यों के बाहर जा रहे हैं, इसको आइडेंटिफाई कर नष्ट करने की कार्यवाही करनी चाहिए। विगत 1 साल में बहुत अच्छा काम हुआ है इस क्षेत्र में, मगर लैब बने ही नहीं, इस दिशा तक हमें जाना पड़ेगा, तभी जाकर नशा करने वाला व्यक्ति मेडिकल मतलब आरोग्य विभाग की शरण में जाएगा।
And that was all for this hour's bulletin. For more news and updates, stay tuned to Hornbill TV. Goodbye.
यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के विकसित भारत के विजन को माननीय मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी के साथ 25 करोड़ नागरिकों ने बनाया है समर्थ उत्तर प्रदेश का विजन 2047। विषय विशेषज्ञ, सेवानिवृत्त IAS, IPS, वैज्ञानिक, कुल